people who are big fans of One Piece are kind of skeptical because, like you said, Dragon Ball evolution did happen. So yeah, I can see where they're nervous.
What is up, everyone? I am Hector. Thank you for joining us once again at the Unknown Nerdcast. With me, as always, is the one and only Daniel Kim.
The one and only Daniel Kim.
You are my one
You
and
sure
only
about
Daniel
that?
Kim. My one and only. I should have been more specific. How you doing?
I wasn't ready for the trick questions, but
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It wasn't a trick question, but didn't mean to
How are
stomp you the
you?
first one.
How are you?
You know what? I am okay. No
Reverse
complaints on
Uno.
my end.
Boom.
Reverse Uno. Yeah, but thankfully I am perfectly fine. You know what I'm going through? I'm going through one of those like post video game depression kind of things where like nothing is really scratching that itch. So
Nothing is hot out right now. That catch your
no, there's
interest, or
definitely a lot of hot stuff out there. I mean, I haven't even put much more time on Diablo 4 as I wanted to because Final Fantasy 16 came and just essentially took over everything. And that's the game that I finished, and now it's just like I have like no meaning in life, and just going through that video game depression. Just I've been on my using my Steam Deck with Dave the Diver. That's been pretty cool. But I don't know. I just need that game that just devours all my time.
so you lost all. You can't go on.
Yeah, no,
Well,
exactly.
Spider-Man 2 is coming out, so you just
that's coming out
hold
like
on.
in October.
Oh yeah, but it's how fast this year's been going. You'll probably be
That is
October.
True. No, see, but like that's why it's upsetting because I didn't even finish Jedi Survivor either, so I'm thinking about trying to go back into that, but I don't know. I just now it's like that thing where like I don't know if you've seen that meme where it's like a women's like, oh, I have nothing to wear, they have all this clothes, and then for me it's like, oh, I have nothing to play. I have all these games that I've started or that I just bought on sale and never even opened. But again, nothing is scratching that itch.
You need a new outfit. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, thank you. You're a true friend. You really listen to me. Enough of my sad story. Let's go in with I guess like some trending news, nerd news stories going on there. One that really I think might just interest me for the most part, and maybe some of our followers, considering we did react to the trailer. But One Piece, the live adaptation the live adaptation show coming out at the end of the month. It keeps looking more promising and promising for me. I mean, I was sold with the trailer in itself, and of course, hearing that or reading that Ichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece,
he has more hands on it this time, right? Or
exactly.
One of the not there were other One Piece live action. He has a lot of say in this one.
Yeah, exactly. More than I would say other anime adaptations have for sure. Which that in itself is pretty promising. But there was a fun article on IGN that I was reading, and essentially he said that he had a couple of demands for Netflix when adapting the anime for series, and yeah, it's I guess it's pretty obvious. But like number one. Being that he needs the main characters' backstories to be similar, if not like 100% the same as they are in the anime or manga. Manga without manga. Just because, according to him, and this is a quote, is they're so pivotal to who they are as people, what the dreams and motivations are, and how Luffy digs into that as he meets them and helps them rediscover those dreams. So yeah, I really like that. I mean, because like it just shows that they're taking it real serious, because that's more than other adaptations get. And then the second one being about the devil fruits themselves. Essentially, and this is another quote is and this is from showrunner Matt Owens that's doing the quotes, by the way, not Ichiro Oda, in case there's any confusion, because I think it sounded like I said Ichiro Oda said this, but it's the showrunner, the creator of the show, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why there's some confusion, because it made it seem like it was Oda saying this, but this is actually the showrunner, Matt Owens, saying that this is the conversation they had. So
Okay.
he's the one that's being interviewed, and he's the one that said this. So
Okay.
I made that clear. But his second quote is saying that specific devil fruit powers and other skill sets were all carefully crafted by Oda, and a lot of imagination went into what different people can do and what rules are with that. So obviously, the devil fruit, in case you don't know, are some of the characters get these like superpowers and stuff like that, and they are very specific to the person and very specific powers and stuff. So it's good to see that, one character that like had like certain powers is not going to be all of a sudden like having a different one. So again,
Yeah.
I'm just reporting this one because I thought it was fun. I'm really looking forward to the adaptation more than other adaptations before. I'm not even saying it's going to be um, the best or anything, but so far it shows promise, especially with how much care is like being put behind it. At the very least, I'm gonna watch it even if I hate it, just like for that, because like I want that kind of care um going into like the different kind of stories and stuff that or adaptations that I like. So got to support that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's your take on One Piece?
Well, I like I said, I haven't watched the anime, so I would have
You
to
know,
see how I
my,
have like an unbiased opinion going into it. It does look
mhm.
fun, but I know definitely like people who are big fans of One Piece are kind of skeptical because, like you said, Dragon Ball evolution did happen. So
Uh,
yeah, I can see where they're nervous. Where they're nervous.
and you can't really blame them. That's a thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, so yeah, I'm really excited for you to watch it as well, so that when we watch it we can have our own takes. I've read and watched One Piece, played the games and stuff like that. I so safe to say I really love like this world and stuff, which is why I'm excited to jump in it from a different kind of like medium and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely can't wait to see your take on it, just because like it's a fresh set of eyes and into this world and stuff. So it'd be pretty interesting, kind of like
Yeah.
how we did for The Last of Us
Yeah. My
this
virgin
year.
eyes are gonna be in for a whole new world.
But yeah, so yeah, One Piece debuts on August 31st, and of course we're gonna be covering it a lot more.
That's pretty soon from now, August.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it's just going rolling by. So like half the year's over already. Summer's pretty much done. So now we're gonna start getting our fall
Yeah.
video games and
Summer
media and stuff
was
like that.
great when I was a kid because that was the time school is out. But now it's just like you're an adult and you have to all 4 seasons kind of are like adulting. So it's just like
Yeah, you're always
whatever.
adulting, but it's in summer where you're just like uncomfortably hot. So I've come to like summer less as a grown up, just because like yeah, we're always working and always like slaving away, but at least in the other
Well,
seasons
your play
we can like
places of
bundle
work
up.
always have air conditioning. I mean, most places.
Yeah,
I
and,
can't speak for every single one of them, but I'm
I'm blessed
hoping
with having
hoping
AC at my
everybody.
place, but
Yeah, I'm hoping everybody is nice and cool. It's I guess it's easier said than done in some places, but I mean, it's definitely it's hot. It's hot.
it's hot. It's hot. And you know what else is hot? Superhero movies, and it happened for a while. Ever since Iron Man came out for the MCU,
Hmm.
it's just been like it just snowballed into like damn it, it just became a pop culture phenomenon and that kind of
Well,
stuff.
it's so contradictory when you're saying it's hot and snowballing. Which one is it?
That is true. Gotta think of my elemental puns or whatever. But
Brought to you
yeah,
by Pixar.
so yeah, so that's I know, right? Fuck, I didn't watch that movie.
Yeah, I don't think I mean,
Pixar.
speaking of hot, I mean, I think the only movies people watch nowadays are superhero movies.
Which is pretty ironic because that's exactly what I'm gearing up to like to with an interview with Adam Devine
Hmm.
that he had on This Past Weekend with Theo Vaughn. It's a like a podcast. So he was saying, and this might be contradictory. I'll read his quote, and then I'd like to hear from you, and then obviously express my thoughts. But yeah, so I guess it's he when asked, he said, "My theory is, I think like Marvel ruined it, and this is based on like movie comedies or comedy movies. Um, yeah, I feel like superhero movies kind of ruin comedies because people go to the theater." And you expect to watch something that costs $200 million to make, and comedy movies aren't that. So you're like, well, why would I spend the same amount of money to go to watch a little comedy in the theater if I could spend the same amount of money and go see something that is worth $200 million? End quote. So, um, yeah, funny enough, before this quote, or before I guess he was interviewed for this, I was talking to someone about how I miss those summer comedies. Earlier this year we did have the Jennifer Lawrence movie. Completely blank. No Hard
No hard
Feelings.
feelings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So and how yeah, so like that sparked my, like, you know what? We don't see that many movies anymore, especially rated R comedies like that. Before we used to have The Hangover and stuff like that. And I do really miss that. And then funny enough, he comes and says that. But what's your opinion on that? What do you think?
I think he has a valid argument. I think, especially given the price of theaters, I can see where consumers are like, just a good written comedy isn't good anymore. They just want to see something visually pleasing with great CGI, which CGI has been a little
Oh,
bit questionable nowadays. But I
oh
mean,
my god.
they do want to see something that's, yeah, like your Avatar esque kind of like great visuals along with great sound,
Yeah.
like great OST, like soundtrack and great score and the whole nine basically. So if you're paying that type of price for a movie ticket, a consumer does want to get the maximum value for his dollar, for his or her dollar. I don't want to
Yeah, no,
discount
it's
any hers out there or theys or
people.
anyone,
Just say
any
people.
people. Yeah, people. So like
People,
I don't want to,
consumers.
yeah, consumers dollars, but yeah, he does make a great point. But he also, I would argue with the fact that also I think it's also a little bit on the responsibility of the creator to make a great like a great comedy that people want to watch. Like Hangover, to be honest, came out of nowhere. I watched it,
Mhm.
I think the second or third week it came out because everybody was talking about it. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, like everybody was talking about it. I was just like, what is this Hangover? And I loved it because like it was quickly spread through word of mouth,
yeah. It's definitely the
so
word
I
of mouth that helps in
yeah,
that way.
so I think they also have some, they can't always pin everything on the audience being like, "Well, you guys don't like it." So it's just like go to your writer's room, like brainstorm a great comedy and be like make it an undeniably must watch comedy movie.
Yeah,
Then people, I think, would a lot of people would come around. I mean, not everybody, but probably a good majority of people might come around and be like, "Okay, I'm willing to put my butt in a theater to see this." So I think that's where I'm kind of like, I understand, yet I don't understand.
yeah. No, but funny enough, and this is part of, I guess, goes hand in hand with the strikes that are going on too. Is
Yeah.
if studios don't see that money coming in for said rated R comedy, however good it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't just, if it doesn't catch that audience, then
Mm-hmm.
studios aren't going to want to put in that money for that kind of movie again. So like, well,
Mm-hmm.
there's this, but there's also this tried and true Marvel formula, which ironically enough is kind of like dwindling down right now anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, or not just Marvel, but superhero, like just superhero fatigue. We're seeing it happening more and more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so without the crowds or the consumers going to like movie, even if it's a great film, it's just like very hard, especially nowadays when um there's a lot of things that are that have our attention, and then there's always streaming, and then there's always like people that, okay, cool, you like that movie, I'll watch it when it goes on streaming, I'll watch it on demand or stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's like we're just in a very different world than we were when The Hangover came out. that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So
I think you also nailed it, the streaming part of it. I think people don't necessarily go out as much anymore. I don't know if that's the thing. Like, I don't know. It just I don't know if people just don't like the theater anymore, or I don't know what
yeah,
it is
especially with
exactly.
how shitty the world is lately too. So
Yeah, so it's just a lot of people like, just want to just chill at home and watch it on streaming, and that might be another thing. Just making for Netflix slash Hulu slash Disney Plus
yeah.
slash Max
No,
only these.
exactly.
Yeah, so I mean,
See,
I don't know. It's well, you do bring up a great point as far as like you know, if studios aren't seeing the money come in for like the comedy movies that Adam Devine is saying, they probably won't produce as much or be trying to produce these comedy movies.
yeah,
But also it's also like the trend nowadays. It's something like a lot of people like, let's say for example, like if you're a jazz musician and suddenly rock takes over and then the rock is a new hot sound. And it's like
hmm
you as a jazz musician, it's like, well, you guys can't listen to rock. I can't believe I can't make jazz music because everybody wants to listen to rock. But that's just a sign of the times. That's just the trend. It's just that's how things work sometimes. It's just like a lot
yeah,
of people, like even on YouTube, like and subscribe, by the way, probably won't didn't take it seriously. But one time when people started putting out good content on YouTube and people were paying attention, then that's when the major people in Hollywood were like, okay, like we can, or like sponsor or companies want to give their money, be like, hey, advertise our product or service. So it's just kind
hmm
of like you're in that weird area where it's like there's no real right answer or there's no real wrong answer, but it's just
yeah,
superhero movies are a trend. And it to me personally, I love them because I used to love reading comics book X-Men particularly, and to see them actualized on the screen with great CGI, because CGI back then when I was young, it wasn't that great. Now you can like actually like have a shot of Spider-Man going like swinging through New York and going
yeah,
through cars. Like you can have a camera shot of that. Back then it was very hard to pull off, and even if they did pull it off, it was kind of like, oh, it didn't look as cool as it did. But
yeah.
like, yeah, so I
You,
mean,
you definitely had to suspend disbelief a little bit more than
yeah.
we do now.
Yeah, so it's like I think a lot of the times, even like people like around our age is probably thinking like, oh, we get to finally see stuff that we loved in our childhood actualized on the big screen, and that's number one. Number two, now superhero, like for the most of MCU, was written really well in my opinion. They were really good movies, but back then superhero movies were kind of like
They
a
were a
quick
joke.
cash grab. Yeah, they were a quick
Yeah,
cash grab. They weren't written very well. There's so many plot holes, and you're just like, what's
like
going on? But now,
bat nibbles.
yeah, bat nipples and Mr. Freeze puns, and yeah, so it's just like you. I think times has slowly changed. I think
Mhm.
it's also up to like you said. Just I'll say it again. Like it's up to also them to kind of keep up with the times, trying to make a comedy that's kind of like like a lot of times, just like I think Quentin Tarantino said it too. Is like I don't think people are going to watch Iron Man, not like Robert Downey Jr. Where like stars are kind of like when you have a big name star, it doesn't necessarily mean a draw at the box office anymore. And I think that's just a
Yeah,
sign
we'll
of the
definitely see
times.
that
With all,
less
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
I think that's just a sign of the times. I think people are like l- they don't have to see a movie because this like Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. They want to just see a good movie. I
Mhm.
think a lot of people are kind of more. I think they're smart enough. I don't want to even say that word, but they kind of caught up. They kind of know like, oh, the biggest star doesn't make necessarily the best movie. Therefore,
Yeah,
like they're
exactly.
just they're more, especially now they with streaming. Now they can really now have an option. Do I want to go to the theater or just stay at home and
Yeah.
watch a good movie on streaming? So it's just now. I think it's just a different time that a lot of people like. I'm not saying he's an old head or old traditional thinker, but like you have to have that new train of thought. It's like, okay, there's this other option now that people want to. It's like, how do we make it so people want to go to the theater?
Yeah, and especially like I mean, me and you, I guess we don't see it that much being like single dudes, and by that I mean like we don't have like a whole ass family to take to the movie theaters where we could easily just me and you just go.
I feel so lonely all of a sudden.
Yeah, so like we have the luxury of like, all right, cool, you know what? We have a list, $25 a month, 3 movies a week, blah blah blah. It's easier
Hmm.
for us. But a lot of people is like, okay, cool. So it becomes a whole thing where they don't have things like A list and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, cool. So we're gonna go to the movies. Movie tickets are 20 plus, depending on when they go, and
Mhm.
it's me and my wife and two kids. So it becomes a thing where it's like, okay, cool. Is it worth it to spend over $100? Because like just on movie tickets alone, and of course they're gonna want to get snacks there, or their kids are gonna want snacks and stuff like that. So it just starts like being a whole like experience to go to the movie theater. Me and you, we just take it for granted because like we just go because like we have that luxury. Not everyone
Mhm.
does, and that's what weighs upon like their decision where it's like, okay, do we want to like this is one of our like three movies of the year? Do we want to
Mhm.
spend it on this?
Mhm.
That's like who knows if this is going to be good, or
Yeah.
the superhero movie where even if it's not good we're going to be entertained for most of it,
Mhm.
and then like always there's that conversation after like when with your friends and stuff like that, so it's like
Mhm.
there's like a bit more like longevity to it. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's
Mhm.
that definitely a tribute
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. And also think of like also this way, like technology has taken over, where like you have a really good home sound system and a really good quality TV. It's
oh
just
yeah,
because, I mean, I don't think anything really quality if you watch it in like an IMAX theater or like Dolby, or if you will, like the sound quality and picture quality isn't going to be as great no matter how much you try to replicate it. But
hmm,
also like a lot of people like the comfort of their own home. I mean,
oh
like a
yeah,
lot of times, I mean, we've there's movie theaters that have reclining seats now. They're definitely trying to make it so that you're very comfortable watching the
yeah,
movie, but also the comfort factor is better in your home because you are home. But like for me personally, I like going to the theater because when I'm at home, I just have too many distractions. My phone goes off, and I have to look at
yeah,
that, and I don't end up paying attention to the movie at all. Whereas in the movie, then I'm kind of more forced to pay attention. So therefore, I choose to go to the theater. That way, I can absorb the movie
exactly,
fully to as if the writer, director, actors, and all those people that worked on it intended.
exactly, yeah, that's how like experiencing my films, which
Yeah, yeah.
goes to like why I don't know why some people go to the movie theaters and are still on their phone. Like,
Hmm.
dude, like just get the fuck out.
Yeah.
It's like if
So
you're gonna be on your
like
phone anyway.
yeah, and also like even to the point where like even Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I didn't watch in the theater. It's on Disney Plus now. I paused it a few times, whereas in the theater I wouldn't have been able to pause it.
Yeah,
So I've only watched the first 10 minutes and I'm already paused. But if I was in the
yeah,
theater, I would have been forced to watch the whole thing.
yeah,
So even now, even 10 minutes into it, I don't know if I enjoyed it because there's just so many
yeah.
distractions,
But that
like outside world distractions that kind of keep me away from the movie, you know?
on the other end of the spectrum, you are also able to pause it. That's a good thing and a bad thing
Yeah,
because
that's also the
it's
thing.
like
But
oh,
that's
I need to go
also,
to the restroom. It's like all
well,
right, pause, you know. But
that's also like to my fault because if I
oh yeah,
had the power to pause it, then it's like how long is that thing gonna be paused? And right now it's been a day into it, and it's still on pause. It's like if I log in, it's
poor
like, do you want
Star
to
Lord's just
resume
like.
watching? Yeah, exactly. It's like, do you want to see what happens to this otter? It's just like, I guess.
But yeah, um, it is about trends, following trends, and sometimes
Yeah,
about catching lightning in a bottle. You know,
yeah.
kind of like The Hangover did. No one, I don't think anyone expected The Hangover to do as well as it did.
Hmm.
Luckily, it did. And then we got two so-so sequels.
Hmm.
But
I
but
like
yeah,
Hangover 2. I think it gets
I
a lot more
I,
hate
I
than it
thought
deserves, in
I
my
thought two
personal
was
opinion.
okay, and I genuinely don't remember if I watched the third one or not.
The
Like
third one
I think I
was
did because I
it was a
remember going
lot
to the
different.
theater,
It's
but
because 2 was like a kind of like a copy and paste of 1, but 3, I think, was like they did a whole new thing. It had the same characters and still
yeah,
some of the elements to it, but it wasn't, yeah, it wasn't the same. But number 2, I think you had the movie is called Hangover, so it is gonna be like them trying to figure out what happened the night
obviously, yeah, and
before
that was
after
the
the
fun of it. It's
hangover. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
comedic mystery, And
Yeah,
it's like, oh, what
yeah.
the fuck
Well, I
happened?
just
All
think
right,
that
let's
the
go
first
back.
one was so good, people
Oh
had such
yeah,
high expectations too, so I think that's where it got more of the hate from. It's just like it wasn't as good as 1, but I I enjoyed it.
so there you go, Adam. It was the Hangover that killed comedies, not not the FCU. We solved that for you.
Exactly. Stop blaming. No, but like he does
Yeah, of
have a
course.
genuine point.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's yeah, I think it's just
I see both his argument and
yeah,
like
it's
both
hard to
sides.
say
So
because like people don't want to. I don't know what the real reason is. People just don't like going to the theater. Like it might be the price. That's I know it could be a factor. It might be just
oh, it's a
like you said,
multiple things.
people
It's
don't
not
want to
just
stay home
one.
because it's a dangerous world out there. I remember
Yeah,
when we went to go watch Joker. I know you and I watched it, and then on the way to watch it, I remember passing by a theater, and then there was like an armed security guard. And I texted you. I was like, "Do you really want to see this today?" It just seems like something was about to go down. So I
yeah,
mean, like public safety is might be one of the people's
yeah,
concerns. I don't know. It's just it could be a various amount of factors. I mean, just a lot of times a lot of times I think just like that movie magic isn't there anymore. I think even like with the CGI thing, I think people focus too much on the visual and not enough of the story. I mean, it'd be nice if like all those things came together and people started going to the theaters again. That'd be cool, pretty cool.
yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of movie theaters, I have some weekend box office numbers. You know how I love nerding out on that. We
Nerm nom noms?
last
What?
week we had hmm?
You said nerm nom noms?
Nerd Nums.
That's what I
That's
heard.
it. I said weekend box office numbers.
Oh, okay. Here we go again with the numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I'm always curious to see how movies did, and then we are on that subject anyway. Um, yeah, last week we had Meg 2, The Trench, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem come debut. So I was curious to see how Ninja Turtles did in particular. Um, but unfortunately, it debuted in fourth place, right behind, of course, Barbie, being untouchable, followed by let's see. Yeah, Meg 2, The Trench, which isn't surprising. It is a sequel and it's totally,
So number
summer.
two was Meg. The
Yeah,
Meg 2? Oh, okay.
yeah, Meg 2, followed by Oppenheimer, and then last place or fourth place was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, it's kind of a bummer because it looked great, and it
Mhm.
just debuted at $28 million, which is like, yeah. And
Well,
then
all fairness, it wasn't also marketed very well because I hardly heard about it until it was about to come out.
oh, I had seen some marketing for it,
Yeah.
especially the fact that Seth Rogen was attached to it, and it's his kind of movie. And then
Mhm.
I hope that this is one of those word of mouth kind of films. Um, but yeah, like it sucks because like there's always like this argument where about animated films, like, oh, those aren't real movies, and then there's like the vocal majority, or like I guess there's like a loud people going like, oh no, animated films are real movies and blah blah blah, and then we get these kind of numbers, and it's like, okay, so where's everyone at then? If you
Mhm.
keep arguing for animated films, like, speak with your wallets as well and go to the theaters for these so that they keep making them.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm hoping that word of mouth does help this movie out, but I guess we'll see, because yeah, kind of like how we're talking about earlier, like the comedies, or like, top notch writing and stuff like that. So this is a perfect example where Ninja Turtles, as of last week, I saw that it was like a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is excellent. And then the Meg, which is at a 30 or 40%, which is like, it's bad, but people are gonna go see one versus the other, and this being a sequel and stuff like that. So it's like it's very hard to tell, trends, I guess.
Yeah.
Even with like super positive review scores. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, I don't know. I just cowabunga, dude.
no, not
Cowabunga.
Kawabunga. No Kawabunga.
No bunga.
Noah Bunga. Boo Bunga to all of you that didn't go watch it. Myself included, because I haven't gone yet. I'm going this week.
Exactly. So
So yeah, see, I'm going this.
I felt like you were
What a fucking
attacking me for a
hypocrite.
quick second.
No, no,
It's like
I'm a fucking hypocrite. I am gonna go this week. I'm just gonna start, like, I think every week I'm just gonna go to my AMCA list, go to the movie, and just, or like, just buy the movie ticket and not go, hoping to get some of the money. But yeah, and then following fifth place is Haunted Mansion, which another thud for Disney. Did you even know that came out?
I didn't know that one came out. I just it's just a funny premise. That's all it was.
But yeah, I just want to share that
I feel like
disappointing
that movie would have
thing.
been released a little too early. I feel like it should have been more of like a like October-ish time for
Yeah,
Halloween. Yeah,
yeah,
that would have been
I can
probably
totally
better.
see
I don't
that.
know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what sparked them to um like release it now, unless what they have planned is
A
release it for
Haunted
summer.
Mansion cinematic universe.
I wouldn't hold it past them where they have like a Disneyland theme ride cinematic universe kind of thing. You know how we had the
Yeah.
Jungle Cruise and then Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like, oh,
Thunder Mountain's
one
next.
world. But yeah, oh man, you made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry. We got so
Anyway,
excited for Disneyland. Disney has the power to do that to people.
oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, so unless their strategy is to um take it out during summer, you know, get that summer uh movie money, whatever, and then
Mhm.
release it for streaming around October, stuff like that, where more
Oh,
people are
yeah,
gonna
that's probably it.
catch a second
Yeah.
wind. That makes
Mhm.
sense. Who knows if that's what they're thinking, but like usually that's what they do. Like they wait like 60 days or something like that to release it for streaming. So maybe I mean Spider-Man is available for streaming now, and I feel like that one just came out too, but you can rent it or own it digitally, which you know pretty quick, happening sooner. And maybe that's yet another reason why people choose to not go to movie theaters less and less, or watch
Mm.
comedies at home because they won't get spoilers for comedies versus like, oh, did you hear Captain America died in the latest MCU film, blah blah blah, you know. So
Yeah.
spoilers is definitely another thing. But
Wait,
yeah,
Captain America died?
I killed him off in this example.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I chose Captain America. I like
Mm,
Captain America.
mm.
But yeah, anyway. And speaking of reviews, I just want to talk about this real quick. Gran Turismo the movie. It's coming out. Reviews dropped today, and it's funny because like I've had the Rotten Tomato page on my screen, and it's been refreshing. And it's gone from certified, yeah, fresh, I guess, not certified fresh, but like just fresh because it's 60 and above, to rotten because it's on that line. So it's at a 59% right now. It just dropped to rotten
Mhm,
since beginning this episode, which is pretty funny.
mm.
Um, yeah, I just want to talk about it real quick, just because like there is a story that I want to talk more than I wanted to talk about the review, just like this like controversy, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, it's at a 59%. Just a quick review, but yeah. So obviously, Gran Turismo is a movie based on a true story, so not just like the game itself, but it's based on someone that played the game and did racing and all that stuff. Um, so now that reviews were lifted and they're out there now, one of the criticisms is that they are reframing a real life spectator death, which is something that I didn't know going in because I don't know. I know next to nothing about the driver dude. I just know that they're making a movie out of it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll catch it, eventually. Um, Maybe in theaters, maybe in streaming. But I guess in real life, the driver, he was in an accident, caused a spectator to die, and they used it for the film, but I guess they changed the timeline so like for it to make sense in the movie, for it to inspire the character to be the driver that he is now, I guess, or to move the story forward versus in real life. It happened like a couple years after the events of the movie, after he was like that name and stuff. So yeah, obviously it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth because like we're talking about a real life person versus if this happened, if this is just a fictional story and then they killed someone off just to inspire him, uh like okay, that would make a bit more sense like story wise. But the fact they're using a real life person's like tragedy, like a family tragedy, like just to spark like I guess a movie story, I don't know, kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But what do you think?
So they're changing up the controversy is that they're changing up the timeline to better fit the narrative of the story in the movie?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
and
and
that's
it's just a bit
apparently people feel
disrespectful
yeah, they feel like it's disrespectful.
for sure.
Um, wow, that's a tough one. It's not easy dealing with people's deaths. I'll put that out there. um, wow.
Yeah.
What can you? I mean, the thing, the death is unfortunate. I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, it's kind of unclassy of them to do it in that sense. I'm not sure, and I'm probably guessing not by the consent. They didn't consult the family members of that victim to say, "Is this okay?" and then
Yeah, you
give
know
their
what? Yeah, I'm
approval.
not sure. Yeah, I didn't see that in
Yeah,
the article I read, but
yeah.
that's a very,
I
very
mean,
good point.
that's the only time I would say it's okay. One of the few
I
times. I don't
agree.
know. I can't think of every other factor, but as far as what I can, the scenarios I could drum up in my head, that's the one scenario I can feel like that's okay.
Mhm.
As far as that, I don't approve of it. I feel like you could have done something else to help move that plot forward,
Yeah.
especially like you said, if it's an actual death and it didn't happen that way, the events it you just kind of and I think it happens a lot in with these true based on true stories or like
Yeah.
these biography movies or books. It's just like I think they kind of juice it. It's not uncommon for them to spice it up a little bit to make it more
Exactly.
palatable to the audience.
Mhm.
But I don't think they should chose this time to make it to
Yeah.
season it up. That
See,
was actually the
exactly,
wrong
so
decision. It's kind of like the Balenciaga and the whole like the young kid yeah, that thing is just like I was like, who was your marketing department in this one? It's kind of like
yeah, wait,
no
I'm
one
not
had
familiar
one
with that.
well, it's if you're familiar with the it's like a clothing brand, a very luxury or like a luxury brand. It's called Balenciaga, and they had like a photo shoot with like young kids with like they had like a kind of like a S&M concept with kids,
Oh,
and
ooh.
yeah, it was pretty controversial
I
given the
wonder
fact it was
why.
kids and a very
Oh my
yeah. So it's just kind of
god.
like
That's
was this
needless and
was this
gross.
yeah. It's kind of like that thing. It's just like no one through all the people that were
Went through all
involved
these
in this project,
people.
yeah, just like not one person was like,
Wait a
"Should we
minute.
really be should we be really doing this?" I don't know. It just it's it's very classless. Yeah, it's very classless.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't have any
because
much thing to say. It's yeah, it's just
I mean, because yeah, you're
but it
right.
is also like it is common that they will spice it up a bit to make it more because yeah, like real life isn't as exciting
No,
as
true,
it
yeah.
yeah, but I mean,
But
some
like, they don't use like factual people's deaths. I don't feel like,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So they'll go like, oh, okay, so here is where X
mhm,
character has a drug problem, but I
mhm,
never had a drug problem. You do in this movie.
yeah, yeah,
It's like, well, that's not real. Like, okay, well,
but
we need
but
more character struggles.
But there's also a movie called that just came out called Oppenheimer, where it was a bomb that killed a ton of people.
Yeah,
So it's just like, where is this line that we're drawing? It's just like, why is this okay, but not this? It's just kind of like, yeah, you're just dealing with one death, but we're also dealing with a bunch of deaths in this movie. But everybody seems to be like raving about this movie. So it's just like,
yeah,
where
true.
is
I
this?
mean,
Yeah.
I guess the difference is that the in Oppenheimer they kept it, I guess, factual. I haven't seen the movie, but
Hmm.
from what I hear, like they kept it factual for the
Hmm.
most part, and it wasn't necessarily. And I guess it was like it followed Oppenheimer versus this
Yeah.
one. The story that they're telling it's like here, like I have this quote. Like in reality, though, the lead up to Martin Boro Le Mans' triumph was smooth and the horrific accident came 2 years later. So you're
Yeah.
telling the story about his triumph and all that stuff. That's
Mhm.
great. And sure, this sucks that this death happened. It did happen 2 years later. So it doesn't really fit the narrative that you're telling to begin with. So you're like, you know what? Let's just push it. Like, let's just move it along and have that be the reason for his triumph.
Mm.
It just leaves a bit of a bad taste, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, wow is all I can say is wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll leave it with one of like a last quote that I think is like nails nail on the head, I guess. The family of that spectator have had the worst nightmare turned into a movable feast. Shame on you, Sony. And at the very, at the end of the day, yeah, it like they're using this death as like for entertainment purposes,
Mhm.
when it, I guess it shouldn't, but
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, Gran
But
Turismo out soon.
also it's hard to judge intention sometimes. It might have been maybe the director's intention to be like, let's just make this death more purposeful, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a way to do a devil's advocate here, but it's getting harder by the second.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just don't. I think that they could have done like any other thing if they wanted
Mhm.
to include the death. Maybe
Yeah.
spread the timeline to include the death a bit more factual, to give them, like, the respect that they deserve, because it is someone losing their life, instead of going like, all right, you know what, this guy died and it inspired our main character. It's like, that didn't happen in real life, blah blah blah. But I mean, I'm sure, like every other, like, based on a true movie kind of,
Mhm.
like, have done, where they add a few things to spice it up. They
Mhm.
could have done. I feel like they could have done like any other thing versus using
Mhm.
the actual person's death. But
Yeah.
um,
It gets tough. It really does. This when you're dealing with a death, it does get a little you hit a weird area that's just kind of like what do you do from that point? It's a we I think we talked about this last time, like way, way back in the day with Bl- uh Black Panther. Forgot to say
mhm,
Wakanda Forever.
yeah,
Wakanda Forever when we discussed should they have replaced Chadwick Boseman for
yeah,
the Black Panther role, and it's just kind of like it's very debatable. It's just like you can't there's no right and wrong in it. There's only so many wrongs and there's so many rights. It's just like you can't it's just so hard to determine the correct course
yeah. I mean,
out
here
of a tragedy. Yeah.
they could have chosen not to include it.
Yeah. I mean,
It's very simple for this one. I mean, it's
yeah.
like, it's not like he's a main character. He just happened to be
Uh-huh.
a spectator that
Why
died.
didn't you just do a death of somebody else, like just a
No, that's what I'm
fictional
saying.
character?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just like they do in any other kind of like biopic or stuff like that, where they
Uh-huh.
add a few things here and there just to change it up, just to make it more entertaining for people. They could have totally done that. It's like, all right, cool. You get in a car accident, but it didn't. You do here. Now, it's not like everything is factual and stuff, but the fact that,
Yeah.
again, it's just the fact that it happened for real that leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's very unfortunate. And I guess, yeah, and like, definitely condolences to, like, friends and family of the spectator that might be reliving this tragedy all over again, because they
Hmm.
chose to do it. But
Hmm.
yeah, damn, what a terrible note to end the episode in.
Yeah. I
um
mean, um, yeah.
you know what, also out this, because Gran Turismo is out this weekend, but also out this weekend is Blue Beetle. So, we started with superheroes, let's end
God,
with superheroes.
Blue Beetle's out.
Yeah, it's out this Friday.
Oh, okay.
I'm really excited for it, but who knows how it's gonna be. It's here we see the DCU limping on his way to the finish line with this one, and then Aquaman. I guess I think it got delayed yet again,
Yeah.
because of the
I mean,
writer's
I had
strike. But
some high hopes about with the Flash, but I guess it wasn't as
oof, I mean, obviously not in the box office. It didn't do so well. The
Mhm,
story, I think it was entertaining. The CGI was terrible. It
mhm,
was, but then, it was a quote unquote creative choice. But holy shit, you got to watch this movie and you got to tell me, like,
mhm.
what you think. I just had to shut my brain off, like 10 minutes in, because, like, I mean, good thing I had heard that the CGI is terrible. Um, go in, watch it. I'm like, oh shit, they weren't joking. Okay,
Yeah,
this is what I'm gonna spend like 2 hours on. Oh, all right, fuck it, I'm game. And it was a very entertaining movie. Beside, like, just taking away the fact that terrible CGI.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, what a crazy week it's been. Summer's coming to an end, meaning we are looking at the final releases for summer blockbusters and summer gaming and
Yes.
stuff like that. But
Mhm,
obviously fall is around the corner. More games. Hopefully they get me out of this gaming funk. We'll see. I want to try Baldur's Gate 3, but it's not my cup of tea. So I don't want to spend $70 on a game that I might not even be interested in. But it's taken over the internet. but we'll see.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I guess we till October. You know,
Yeah.
I'll stop playing games for a few months. I guess I should take a break, but no. Anyway, I've been Hector, and this has been Daniel, and this has been Unknown Nerdcast. Please give us a follow at on all our social media platforms. We are giving it a bit more push, particularly YouTube with our shorts and stuff. So, yeah, it'd be nice to get some love on there.
Show us some love.
Until next time, guys, thank you once again. Peace out.